Hello and welcome, my name is Akira and this is my Let's Play of Europa Universalis 4, where we are playing as England. In the last video we finished our conquest of Ireland and the whole island is now ours. I haven't made a core down in Münster yet because I kind of want to wait until I can buy my admin tech. We are still about 140 points away, but I really want that first idea so I can start start doing some neat stuff with ideas. So I still want to get rid of my king, so I'm gonna put him in charge of this army. Then we are gonna send him to fight some rebels. Too bad. Seems he's gonna survive. Yeah. Too bad. I really want that bastard to die. Set that to... So, the fortunes of war. Our realm have been ravaged by war, and the people from the highest noble down to the poorest serf are tired of it. Well, actually we have a fair bit of war existing. We need to enact some temporary laws to let our country recover quicker. We can enact strong laws where we lose 3 war exhaustion and gain inflation, or we can be more lenient and just lose 1. Inflation is something I haven't spoken about yet. Inflation, it kind of works like in the real world. If you have inflation, everything just becomes more expensive. Every building and every unit, and it won't affect your upkeep, but only if you buy stuff. And you gain it either from relying on gold for income. So if you, for example, Castile, they produce gold here in Toledo. So if you too big a part of your income is from gold directly, you get inflation just because of money flooding into the system. You can also get inflation if you take loans, or there's a lot of these events that give inflation. But I'm not just desperate to get rid of my war exhaustion, so we'll just stay clear of that. So now we're just waiting to see what happens. I don't really have any big plans. At some point I want to take back the territory down here, just because as long as we have a core, it's totally free. We don't have to use any points on it, and I always like to beat up on the big blue blob, which is France. But I don't think I'm quite ready to do that yet. Let's maybe... if one of these countries actually attacked, it might be possible, but right now Burgundy is getting beat up by Austria and Castile. Or maybe it's the other way around. Let's see how that develops. Let's look at Scotland. So we went to war a couple of videos ago to kind of subjugate them, make them our vassal. And being our vassal, they kind of, I think they pay a bit. Yeah, they pay a bit income to us every month. They also transfer some trade power, I think. No, doesn't really seem so. But anyway, they pay a little bit to us, and I think maybe also transfer some manpower and stuff like that. But what is really interesting is that you can actually integrate them at some point into your kingdom. It does require you to have 190 opinion, and then once we choose it, we'll have to place a diplomat there, and he'll use a couple of years to integrate the whole kingdom into our kingdom. But I think the upside is that doing this diplomatically instead of just going to war and taking them bit by bit means that we get free cores on all of this. So let's start by proving our relation by getting a royal marriage. It will prove our relation, and just generally royal marriages are nice. and since they are already our vassal, it won't actually cost any diplomatic relations. And then next up, we'll probably wanna get them allied. Or we can't also ally them. We are already an alliance because they are our vassal. They are. I don't know if any of you played Crusader King 2. Then we may have a better understanding of the vassal system. A vassal is like it's a country that you don't rule directly, but you have a lower king or lower person to do it. And actually, we are a feudal monarchy right now, which means that in theory we would also have vassals ruling each of these counties. But Scotland isn't actually they aren't ruling their own country completely. They are part of our country, just with their own king still. But we wanna kind of get rid of their king and rule it ourselves. So we're gonna try to improve relations, and hopefully we can get to that 190, and then start to integrate them into our country. Oh, we got a new mission. We can spread our mission culture into Gaston, and we'll get 10 diplomatic power. It will cost 150 though, so I don't think I'm gonna do that either. Oh, and we got the ability to purchase military tech also, with a 10% neighboring bonus. Oh, and we upped here, so I think now I'm gonna buy these two technologies. 10% bonus is nice. It can be higher, but I don't want to wait too long. I may want to build a bit of these buildings. Maybe at least a dock or two to repair my ships faster. And we'll also get some nice stuff here. We'll be able to build armories so we can increase our manpower and recruit regiments faster. We'll get extra tactics, which helps a lot in battles. We'll get extra morale, again helps out a lot. And our infantry units will just get better. And this will last all through the game. They will have this shock modifier. Let's actually go and have a look at that. If you look at our revolts in Glamorgan, let's go stomp that down. Bust up. They are only 4, so let's bust it up to half maintenance, and then just send the Royal Army there. Let's send him back to London afterwards. But let's see here. We have 3 kinds of units. We have infantry, cavalry, and artillery. We don't have any artillery yet, but we'll get that later. Right now, our infantry isn't that impressive. With the Latin medieval infantry we have 1 morale in attack, 1 morale in defense. We could also choose this halberd infantry, where we'd get 2 morale in attack, but none in defense. But we get no modifiers either in the fire or the shock phase. So in the start of the game, our knights are vastly superior because they have modifiers when they attack and shock, and also they actually don't have better morals, but they have an actual modifier here. And furthermore, they have a cavalry shock bonus. So whenever you're in the shock phase, this bonus will be applied to your cavalry. I don't know if this is like it's just a flat number getting added, or if it's like a factor. But it means that even though when you progress through the game the infantry get better and better and better and better, it's still valid to have some cavalry in your armies simply because they have so much better shock value. So that's something, because once you get to like level 9, start thinking, why do I even have cavalry when my infantry is this good? But that's the reason you get a big bonus here from in the shock phase with your cavalry. And it improves even further as you go along. So even if you don't get a new kind of cavalry until level 14, it's still nice to have some. But let's look at this. Where now we've gotten some tech, we can start building some buildings. And there's a nice new feature for building that's new from EOC, and it's this building menu. You can get it either from this button, you can get it when you get this flag, or you can press the B button to get to it. And when you have this selected, you can select armories. And first of all, you can have a nice overlook of your whole country, where you can build it, all the green areas, or where you can build it. Once they get blue, that's where you have built it, and the red ones is where you can't build it, either because you don't have enough money, or because you're already building there, or stuff like that. But even nicer, when you have this selected, it improves manpower. You can see what is the current manpower there, and how much will you actually get improved, because this is base manpower improved. But if you look down here in London, we have some manpower modifiers. So actually, if we build armories here, we will get more manpower out of it. And furthermore, we will get the recruitment time and improvement cost bonuses. So we want to build a couple of these. If you want to go to war with France, we need a lot of manpower. They have a lot more manpower than us. So even if we get a bigger army than them, they'll just be able to kind of use smaller skirmishes and stuff like that to bleed our manpower, and then we'll be fucked. Sorry for the language. So we're gonna buy just a bunch of these. I am gonna buy, before I get too crazy with my money, I'm gonna buy a dock over here, just so we can repair our ships faster and cheaper. Ships cost money for each turn they repair, so if you repair them faster, I believe that it will be cheaper in the long run. I'm not totally sure about that though. And then we're just gonna buy a whole bunch of these armories so we can train up armies faster and get more manpower. So that does, however, every building costs in excess of money. It also costs power. So all the buildings that you get from diplomatic technology cost diplomatic power. The same for administrative and military. So I just used all our remaining military power to kind of buy these buildings. But we're not in a hurry to get military tech. I think it's more important at this point to try and improve a little on our manpower. You can see it already went up to 26, almost 27,000, and improving that maximum amount of manpower they could store is really important, especially if you're gonna be in a lot of wars. I'm gonna put this maintenance down again, since we've replenished the armies. Oh, and we got a column arm from our friends in Portugal. The nation of Portugal, your faithful allies, requesting that you come to aid in the conflict against Fez. This is a defensive war that they have to help our ally. So, if you just close this, we can see Fez has apparently broken free and actually taken some territory here. Maybe they have. Maybe that's kind of a revolt that broke loose or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, we want to help our good friends down in Portugal. So let's just press accept. We still have a lot of war accessions, so we don't want to use the war taxes this time. I'm gonna bump up the. Since Fez is such a new nation, they probably won't have a lot of navy or army actually. So I'm gonna try to just bump the maintenance on the fleet halfway. Hopefully that will be alright, but I will bump up the army maintenance fully. We don't want to lose our army. So, opposing military schools. Occasionally hostilities will erupt between opposing military schools. Attack is always the best option. We'll lose 1 stability, but we'll get an increased offensive for 10 years, where we have extra force land force limit modifier, so we can build huge armies, and we'll get extra discipline. Or we can get increased defense, say let them come to us. We'll get better morale and better fort defense. Still losing 1 stability. I think I'm gonna go with the offense. Hopefully within those 10 years we can kind of beat up France and yeah, get back at them. Now we can have up to 52 regiments. Of course that will be really expensive, but maybe it would be nice just to beat up France, and then we could always stand them down afterwards. So let's just build up a little bit of morale before we sail down our ships, and then let's go help our friend Portugal. Oh, and France just left the coalition, which is really nice. At this point, the only ones left is Brittany. Oh, and I'm the only one left in the France one. That's too bad. Maybe I should just leave that just so some random small country won't join. Let's just call the guy back from Burgundy. And while we're waiting, we're gonna sail this down. Oh, and finally we can get our administrative technology. Nice! Let's do this. And we can choose our first idea. So ideas work a bit different in this in EU4 than EU3. For those of you who have played that, in the old game, you kind of you unlocked an idea slot and you just put 1 idea in this slot. Here you kind of unlock a slot for a whole idea group. And there are 3 kinds of ideas. There are the military, the diplomatic, and the administrative ideas. And of course they use the points that corresponds to the power. And right now I still need my administrative technology. I need to boost my stability, probably as the first thing. And I need to core Münster. And I also want to get more technology, because I want to get this constable and temple so we can start earning some more money. So we're definitely gonna go with either diplomatic or military ideas. And I think exploration ideas is what we need to colonize the New World. But I think it's too early, as I explained in an earlier video. I think the only way to get to the Americas before diplomatic tech level 7 is to cross this straight down. You can see it, but there's a small island between Africa and Brazil, and you can use that to kind of bridge the gap. But I can't do that yet. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wait with that for the second idea group, and I'm gonna take some military ideas. So let's see what we can choose. There's the aristocratic ideas, which really focuses on cavalry, makes them cheaper. It makes core creation on our territory cost a lot more. So that's really nice if you are kind of afraid to be attacked. It really discourages the AI from attacking you. Normally in EU3, all of this country will be gobbled up by Castile really fast. But since all of these countries, or most of them, belong to the Berber idea group, they have this hostile core creation cost built into their countries. So it's really expensive to take over, to create cores on this land. So that can be nice. The next one is serfdom, extra manpower, nice. Leader shock, extra diplomat, cheaper cost of reducing war exhaustion, cheaper military technology, and better cavalry combat ability. So this is really nice for cavalry. You get extra diplomats, you get all sorts of stuff that don't actually have that much to do with military. And I like the military cost and the manpower. Let's do it. Then there's the two kind of opposing schools here and here. There's the offensive versus defensive, and there's the quality versus quantity. And they aren't mutually exclusive. You can take both of these, but it makes most sense to kind of choose one of these and choose one of these, because for example, offensive ideas gives a lot of things that you need when you are kind of getting into a lot of wars, and this defensive ideas gives a lot of things that you kind of use for a different kind of playing, where you get into smaller wars and maybe focus more on just defending your own territory, having smaller armies and just sieging through his stuff, and just making sure that he can't just walk through your armies. But offensive ideas give extra shock for your leaders, which is really, really nice. It makes the whole shock combat phase just immensely better for you. It gives national conscripts, again the 25% national manpower modifier, really nice. It gives superior firepower, so extra leader fire also, so your leaders is gonna be badass in combat. Glorious arms, so 100 extra % prestige from land battles. So if you go to war, you'll have a lot of prestige, at least if you win this. Improved leader maneuvers, so your leaders will get faster. Grand Army, 25% extra force limit, which is really nice, especially as England, because we don't have that much force limit, and our biggest enemy is the big blue blob of France, which have a lot of force limit, so that would be a really nice modifier. Then you get Esprit de Corps, which I think it's actually a French name, a French idea from the real world, but it gives extra discipline, and that's like damage in combat. And then once you unlock the last idea, you get forced, allows you to spend military power in order to move your units faster. Then there's the defensive ideas. Gives battlefield commissions, extra yearly army tradition, which helps army tradition. You gain that from winning combats, and it helps with your morale, and you can see it here. It helps with morale, manpower recovery speed, and army morale recovery speed. So army tradition is really important if you want to go to a lot of wars. But if you are aggressive, if you are offensive, you'll kind of generate this on your own, so you won't really need this. It gives morale, which is important, especially if your army is smaller than the enemy's. It's nice to be able to have a higher morale, then you can kind of keep in the war for a lot longer, and that's just generally good. You get extra seats for your leaders, and that's really nice, because if you are a defensive nation, what you want to do is just move your army into a region and just kind of siege through it, and then just let the enemy kind of get to attack you, so he will suffer all the negative modifiers for attacking. So you want to be able to siege fast. This is land maintenance modifier, so you get cheaper units, which is nice. You get defensive mentality, extra fort defense, supply trains, extra reinforcement speed. Again, really nice if you have a smaller army than your opponent. You can recover your numbers far quicker. Then you get less attrition. Again, nice if you have smaller armies. And extra attrition for your enemies. That's also nice. Then the quality ideas. So these are all about having smaller armies but more quality. So we get extra combat ability for infantry, extra morale recovery speed, so you can get in and out of combats faster. You get better compatibility for your cavalry, better compatibility for your heavy ships, better navy morale speed recovery, better light ship compatibility, better artillery compatibility, and better discipline. So this is all about doing more damage with the troops that you actually have. Whereas the quantity ideas down here, they're all about cheaper units, more manpower, cheaper units, cheaper maintaining of units, cheaper ships, cheaper artillery, more manpower, and actually a lot more manpower, 50%, that's a lot, and extra force limits. So let's just we also have the English ideas, and these work in quite a different way. These you kind of have to buy with points, and they cost 400 points each. But these you kind of unlock by unlocking other ideas. So every time we unlock 3 ideas in any of these slots, we get one of our English ideas. So we get better ships, more naval tradition, we get extra tax, we get diplomatic relations, so we get to have 2 more vassals or royal marriages or things like that. We give extra compatibility, and extra national trade income modifier, really nice. You got decreased reward risk, which it can be nice later in the game, especially when you get a lot of once the kind of religion starts flipping. It's nice to have this, and I think it will come just in time too. We get extra discipline, and we get extra now less naval attrition, but this is kind of an end game thing. So we already get a lot of extra damage. We get extra compatibility for our ships and extra discipline. I think I may actually go with this. I think that's manpower is really nice, as well as the force limits and just cheaper units. I do like this leader bonuses, however. I think I'm gonna go with the offensive ideas. They seem kind of nice. Yeah. Maybe quality is better. I don't know. I do want manpower though. So that manpower, if I want manpower, it's either quantity or offensive ideas. And I think I like quality more than quantity, so I'm gonna take the offensive ideas, and then later on I'm gonna pick up the quality ideas too. But for now, it's gonna be the offensive ideas. And with that, I think this video has been going on for quite a while, so I'll see you in the next video, and we'll fight fast.